Hello everybody, I am Bree with here today with Erin.
Hey everybody.
For New Mom Monday. We've got Fancy Nancy behind the camera today. Everybody say hi. So today we're talking about a fun subject. Last week we led into to doula or don't is what we're calling today's subject, but last week we led into your choices and your rights and what you're allowed to do or not allowed to do as a mom, and really trying to empower moms that they get to decide, that you get to trust your instinct, moms and dads, when it comes to births, whether it be a home birth or a hospital birth or even an emergency C-section.
Yep.
So we talked about those different choices. And today we have Erin on the show, who is a doula. Hello, Erin.
Hello, everybody.
So why don't you tell us, did you have a doula for your births? You did? Okay. Why don't you tell us about your kiddos? Say hi, because they're watching at home.
Hi. Hi, Mila. and Emery.
Mila is?
She's 3.5.
Three and a half. And Emery is?
And Emery is about 14 months.
Awesome.
So it's kind of fun for me to be able to compare, because I did not have a doula with my oldest. And I feel like some of the events that happened during and afterwards I wasn't happy with, and I didn't have information about. And so as soon as I got pregnant with my second, I sought out that information.
So you didn't have one with your first, and you did have one, which kind of adds to your story, because for those that have seen my story, I have a 12-year-old emergency C-section, and then my two boys much more natural. You can kind of compare and tell people. So I'm assuming having a doula with your second kind of fueled your passion for it.
Absolutely, yes. I had an amazing birth. There's no regrets. No, I can see with my first being, it was just my husband and I. We didn't know what we were doing. There's lots of interventions. There was lots of just kind of being upset with what happened.
Did you have two hospital births?
I did. My first was actually born in Germany, and so that was kind of a whole experience in itself. I really wish I would have had a doula to help, because first-time parents, overseas, not knowing what the heck we were doing, having that information and that support, I think would have made a huge difference. And so then going into my second pregnancy, I was like, I must have a doula. I kind of learned about what they were in between my first and my second, and so I sought out someone in the area that was familiar with the area, because I kind of felt like my second birth was almost my first, because this was my first time birthing in America. I didn't know what the difference, the differences were. And so there were some people that were like, well, why would you do that? You have, this time around I had my mom, I had my husband, but they're not experts in birth. They weren't experts in the area and the resources in the area. And so I had Emily from Green Bay Doulas, and she was fantastic. She was able to provide those resources and prepare me for what the hospital, Bellin is where I gave birth, what they provide, what they feel like is important, and what I would need to advocate for myself to do. And it was a great birth. I had my husband in the room, my mom in the room, my aunt, who also did some pictures, and I still feel like my doula was a great resource, because she was able to have input about maybe this position would be good, or she was able to bring a pool into the room to help, some laboring in the water, and just the verbal communication, the right things to say, along with my husband. She was able to help support him. She brought him food. She let him take breaks. And it was still overall for everyone had a great experience. So really didn't just enhance my experience, it enhanced overall everyone in the room's experience with the birth and feeling like it went really well.
So you had your mom and your husband and still had a doula there. I've recommended to people, I recommend a doula. I also had a doula with my husband there. I recommend to people, maybe they're out of town, or their husband's out of town because he's overseas, military, or they just moved to the area. But in my opinion, I would want a doula there, especially with how I feel about birth. And it gets crazy in the room sometimes. It's a big life-changing event, and having somebody there. I remember with my first, my second
case,
I was there and I wanted delayed cord clamping, but same with him too. My cord was extremely short, so when I delivered, the placenta had not come out yet, so we didn't, we weren't cutting that cord. The baby had to sit here, could not go on my chest. And I'm waiting and waiting, and I'm going, where's the baby? And the cord was not long enough. It was this weird thing. Both of my doctors, both times, my boys. My first was a C-section, so I don't know. And I was just, the doctor said, the cord is done pulsing. We're ready for you to cut it now. I'm new to this. It's my first natural birth. I didn't want to have to make the decision, but I had talked through with my doula. I was fully confident. And this is just one instance. There's multiple of these. But I just looked at her. She could tell by the look on my face. And she said, I think we're ready to cut that cord.
Knowing what you wanted.
Knowing what I wanted. Same with, I had to have an episiotomy. The baby, Jace, kept going out and then back in. Like his hair would go out and he'd go right back in. And the doctor, I think the doctor could have done a little more. I don't know, the other doctor was like doing some massage stuff.
Yeah,
but
stretching and...
It stretches, thank you. That's a better word than this. But being a doula, you know the fancy words. I just know the this. And so my doula said, no, I think we're ready for the episiotomy. Cut, baby was delivered. Versus having to possibly have the stress of C-section or different things that were happening. So
and
I would agree.
We're there to help, to know you, to know what you want, and then I want to go over the 5 pillars of support, because there's one on there especially that I want to touch on, kind of what we were just talking about. So number 1 is...
so the 5 pillars are kind of what a doula is known to do. It's the basis of what a doula is.
the different types of support that we offer. So number 1 is emotionally. We're there to, pregnancy is a very emotional, hormonal time. It goes downs, there's ups. We're there to support you, to, encourage you, use that verbiage, during the birth, some of those mantras, some of that, encouragement and support. I know that, like, for you, I know you were talking about with me privately, like praying with you. Was your mom, really was helpful for that. Those different emotional, spiritual types of things. I think that would fall under that category. Number 2 is that physical stuff, which is like what I had with her being able to bring in the tub, that water, therapy, the hydrotherapy, the positional changes, suggesting the positional changes.
I didn't realize a doula would bring in a water tub.
Green Bay Doulas is, I think, the only company allowed within Bellin, because I know Aurora does have tubs in the room that you're able to labor in. Bellin does not. I believe St. Vincent only has one room that has a tub.
Yeah, St. Vincent was going through a remodel, but so really, we've got people watching from everywhere. So if you're not in the Green Bay area, they can possibly check with their hospital if there's resources for.
It is,
and I'm gonna fire my doula.
Those positional changes, that physical support, the acupuncture, acupressure, massage, some of that touch stuff, which I really loved. Number 3 is...
Especially with natural labors. I mean, the physical aspect, if your goal is to go into that room and say, I do not want meds, there's some multiple other things that can be done from
the positional changes, touch, water,
different pressure points, water, essential oils, prayer, a lot of different things.
Yes, a lot of, and that's part of it is getting to know you, going over a birth plan with you, the type of person you are. Some people don't like to be touched when they're having a contraction. Some people want to be touched. That pressure is great for contractions. Knowing you, knowing your partner, and how they want to support you, and then being able to support you in that way is our goal. And so number 3, that would be informational, which is a lot of what you talked about last week, that knowing your rights, knowing what you can and can't do, having that information, those resources to different options, right? Some people just don't know that because the doctor says you have to do this or we recommend this, that there are options, there are alternatives, there's benefits and risks to everything.
Yeah, you get to choose.
Yeah, that starts in pregnancy with testing, with different procedures during the birth, with how that outcome is going to happen, C-section, induction. There's alternatives to all kinds of things. And especially with my background with the Wellness Way, I feel so confident and prepared that I know so much information. I'm able to bring that to people, the Wellness Way kind of message and what we shared, working with the normal biology and physiology of the body, right? The optimal experience, the optimal, birth and pregnancy, and how to have the healthiest baby, healthiest mom. That's our big, healthy mom, healthy baby. And so I feel really confident and really, just excited that I'm able to bring that to the table for people, bring those resources and those studies and just kind of everything that we share and work towards to people, and knowing that there is options and there is alternatives out there. So that's one of my biggest passions, especially for, everyone knows, or most people know if they have a doula, there's the emotional and the physical, but really bringing the light to knowing your rights.
Informational.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So we have physical, emotional, informational.
Yep.
What else?
So number 4, I think, is one that people don't think about, and that is partner reinforcement. Because I know a lot of people that will say, well, I want a doula, but my husband doesn't, or why would I need one if I have my husband there? But we always tell people, I know it's kind of a corny saying, I learned this from Emily, kind of my mentor, is that we are the experts in birth and you are the expert in her. And so together that makes for the optimal experience for both of you. And, husbands just, sometimes they don't know what to do at the right time, or they want to be more of that emotional support where they're upholding your hand and, giving those mantras, speaking to you, encouraging you. And some of them want to be down there holding a leg, helping deliver the baby, cut the cord. Most of the times they don't want to do both of that. So we're there to kind of fill in for what they don't want to do and also support them in the role that they're taking. So if they do want to do everything, we're there to allow them to take breaks or to rest or to get you guys both food, just kind of things that you don't think about when, like you said, it's crazy in the room. There's a lot going on. We're able to be your eyes and ears, especially if you don't want certain things to happen. And your husband's very focused on you. We're able to then focus on the baby or the doctor or whatever's going on and be your eyes and ears, so we can inform you when something's happening that maybe that you don't want to happen or that you want an alternative to.
Yeah, I didn't have long labors. I was at the hospital for 3.5 hours with Jace and 40 minutes with him. But I can tell you, I can't imagine not having a doula, and he came out in 40 minutes. I can't imagine not having one if I was there for 6-7 hours.
Yeah, all that extra support, those breaks for everyone else in the room, that continued support for you, especially if you have a long labor. I had a longer labor with my first and not with my second, and being able to have that massage, that let's try this position or that position if labor's stalling, just really to help facilitate that, that experience, that process. And, with my second, it was very quickly. And again, I agree that, could have I done it naturally, because that was my goal without my doula? Probably. But I don't think it would have been that optimal experience that, and quite as great of an experience, and maybe not having that pain management alternatives that I didn't want. So.
I remember with my second, adamant, because I had a C-section with the first, adamant that I was doing this natural because I wanted every possible shot for healing and breastfeeding and latching and all that. And at one point, I was just like, I can't do this. Now, I knew I was past the point of being able to have an epidural. Like, I needed to hear from people, yeah, you can. Your body, my doula said, this is what your body's made for. I know what you want. You can do this. My husband is all like, he doesn't know.
Yeah.
Do I tell her she can, or do I tell her it's okay if she doesn't?
Yeah.
What do I do?
Yeah.
So.
And I think that's another one of those big myths, is that if you already are planning to have a C-section, or you know that you want to get an epidural, that a doula is not going to be relevant or necessary. But really, that's just one piece of the birth puzzle, right? There's so many other pieces that we're able to help with the informational aspect or that emotional aspect. Birth is still very, I don't want to say traumatic, but it's very eventful. It's a huge process, and having that encouragement emotionally, if you already decide you want an epidural, it's not just someone who wants to have a natural birth. It was more,
I wanted it this way.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And
that's our job, is to kind of know what the mom wants, to go over that birth plan and be able to support you in that setting and in that, your own beliefs and views and what you decide you feel is important. So, and that kind of leads into number 5, which is self-advocacy, which I think is big, because a lot of people, when they think they're hiring a doula, they think, oh, my doula is going to speak for me to the doctor, or be able to...
Do you want to go on a field trip? Do you want to go on a field trip?
To be able to, not have to worry about what the doctor is going to do or the nurse is going to do. But really what we're doing is empowering you and supporting you so that you can speak up. You can advocate for what you want and what you feel is important. And we are those eyes and ears that if we see something that maybe you didn't want done or you talked about wanting to do, we can say, hey, this is happening, or hey, there's alternatives to that. We're able to provide that information that then you're able to speak up and you feel empowered and confident enough because you have that information and say, I do want that, or I don't want that. You know, knowing your rights again, going in and being empowered into whatever situation you encounter.
Awesome. Well, and I just got to say, I've not met a doula yet that's not female. Because most of the ones that you've worked with are all female. It was nice to have another female in the room that had already done this versus my doe-eyed husband. And even if the husband's all, you know, I know a lot of people still, there's options. I have yet to meet anybody that had a doula that says that they regret it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's really, like, just going over those pillars of support, there's so many different aspects that you don't think about or you don't know about. And, you know, with our training, we are trained, we are not allowed to do any sort of medical procedures. We work with your provider, but we're not your provider. We can't give you medical advice. But we do know about the different testing that comes up, the different conditions that come up. We are trained to know your body, the normal, you know, biology, physiology, the structure of your pelvis, to optimize our information to you, to optimize, you know, what we're able to suggest in terms of positioning and physically what's going on.
So you said you're not the provider. Why don't you touch on a few misconceptions out there? Because people hear the word doula, midwife, OB. What's the difference? What's some things that a doula is or is not?
Yep, so the midwife and the OB are going to be your care provider. They're able to make medical decisions, they're able to deliver the baby, they're able to, you know, their goal is like healthy mom, healthy baby. Our goal is kind of more that like happy mom, healthy baby. We're there for that, you know, more that waist up support. We cannot give you medical opinions or medical advice. I can give you all kinds of alternatives. I can give you all kinds of studies and research showing why maybe one thing's going to be more beneficial than the other, but I can't tell you what to do, and you still should consult your provider, you know, because they're going to know your history.
Get the baby out. That's their job, baby out safely.
Yep.
You're there to help that smooth transition.
Smooth transition. Yep. Happy, great experience for everyone. You know, healthy baby. That's our goal always.
Okay.
So yeah, I think one of the other big misconceptions is, like I talked about, that we're going to be replacing the partner or the spouse or anyone else that's in the room. You know, we want to just really support and optimize everyone that's in the room and that experience, no matter what support you need. So I think that's huge. I loved having a doula. I have such a passion for pregnancy, birth. You know, there's postpartum doulas, which I'm getting my certification as well. I think people don't know about that aspect, that okay, you have your baby, this beautiful little package, now go home and do everything perfectly.
Everybody tells you it's going to be fantastic, and really you're pulling out your hair and you're exhausted, and
you're overwhelmed,
and you're...
Yes, so we have that breastfeeding training. We have that newborn infant training, care, CPR, so we're able to help when you go home and you're overwhelmed. Or even if you're not overwhelmed, if you have other kids that you need help with, or errands, or cooking, or cleaning, right? Like, it takes a village to raise a baby. And we're you know, we're there to be that support and that village to optimize that, you know, that experience, to help with, you know, postpartum anxiety and depression and all those things that are an all-time high, because everyone's just so overwhelmed with the expectations society puts on you, and people wanting to come over and just hold the baby, and then they don't bring a meal or they don't help at the house, right? Like, that's one of the most frustrating things, I think, is you as the mother matter too. It's not just about the baby. So we're there to help just support the mother in every aspect. And
I actually said to Wesley, that's my husband, he helps when I talk about him on the show. Good thing he doesn't have Facebook.
Yeah.
Said to him when I got pregnant with Jackson, are we skipping the doula this time? And my mom acts as my doula, and I mean, she studies up on it. She did all this really cool stuff. So I really feel she acted as a doula versus grandma. Like, she was doula, total. And then she left the room, came back the next day, and then she was grandma. And it was just this really neat aspect of how that flipped. But, and I said, do you want, you know, you've done this before, I had a successful VBAC, can we do this again? Do you just want to be in there? And he looked at me and he goes, no.
I don't want all that put on me, had all that responsibility.
No. And I thought, oh, I'm glad I asked, because I don't either. I really want my doula there. And he said, if it isn't your mom, then somebody acting as a doula, which I never thought he'd know what the word doula meant. But he said no. Why after we had it? So then luckily enough, the third time he didn't make it for the birth.
Oh gosh.
Because I went early, I was out of town with my doula, otherwise I probably would have gone out of town. So I was very thankful. That time she was the replacement for the father, only because he didn't make it in time, which it was a wonderful fast birth. But
yeah, no, that's great that you have that support. I think everyone deserves to have that support and what they want to optimize that experience, really, because it impacts so much. I think the whole pregnancy process, but especially the whole birth process and what happens right after, really impacts that postpartum depression, those postpartum anxiety rates that are rising, because people are so unsatisfied and upset with how their births went because they didn't know there was options. They didn't know there was alternatives, or they had rights.
They didn't know, and that's the goal of this show. I mean, I'm not a doula. You are, but you're here in your little niche area. Everybody watching us all over. We do this because I had the pregnancy that I look back and I went, I wish it could have been so much different. I don't live in that realm. I'm excited to teach how it was different. I don't feel guilty, but I go, people need to know that this is a service that's out there.
Absolutely.
So why don't we'll wrap it up. We'll see if we have any questions, but why don't you tell me, just real short and sweet, what it looks like when you have a doula? Do you meet with them ahead of time? How do you pick them? How do you find one in your area? Which I'm sure is the internet.
Yeah.
But how do you find one if you're not referred by one? What does an appointment look like? How do they know what you want? And what does a fee range look like?
Yeah. So I think it kind of depends. Each doula, has their own plan of care. But here at Green Bay,
to cut you off, I would assume you can meet with one and decide if they're going to work
absolutely.
or not. Like you kind of interview your doula.
We do consults at Green Bay Doulas, which is I'm an affiliate doula, so I'm an independent contractor affiliated with them. So I work with them. I'm able to get clients from them, refer people to them, the services that they offer as well. But we do consults with them, so that's the very first thing. We're able to sit down, answer questions. Usually we love to do that with the partners too, because that's able to answer questions and concerns the partner has. From there on, you can sign a contract. And then as soon as you sign the contract, we are on call 24/7. Text, phone call, just any kind of support that you need, encouragement. Like we said, pregnancy is that roller coaster. And when things come up, unexpected things come up, we're able to provide those resources, those alternatives, support whatever you need during that time. And then we do like a prenatal consult or appointment around 33 to 35 weeks. I think we like to have it done by. And that's to get to know you, what you want, what you don't want, type of person you are in terms of the physical support, the emotional support, what the partner wants to do, what kind of role they're going to play in the birth, who else is going to be in the room. We're able to kind of make that plan, that guide, right? Like we never want to say this is what's going to happen, but then we're able to really know who you are and what you want.
And will you help them create a birth plan?
Yes, we do. We have a template birth plan of all the different things, especially in this area, because I know it kind of depends on the area. Yeah. With it being a hospital, I think there's more options because you have more decision and more, what ifs, what's going to happen, what's not going to happen. So we're able to create that customized template of what you want and what the hospital already promotes. Like some of the hospitals in the area are really great with mom and baby care. They're kind of getting rid of the nurseries. They like that kangaroo care, the baby right to the mom's chest as long as there's no complications. That delayed cord clamping is becoming more standard, which is amazing. So we're able to kind of explain what the hospitals already offer and promote, and then kind of fill in where they don't, and what you want, what you don't want. And that way we can be those eyes and ears during the birth and that support.
So then somebody goes into labor and they call.
Yep, they call, and it's kind of up to you what you want. Typically we'll meet clients at the hospital, but there's some people that want that support at home. So a lot of people like to labor at home.
Laboring at home,
So it's that encouragement and support there. And then we all transition over to the hospital or birth center, home birth, whatever type of situation you're in, we're able to facilitate.
So it's not just for those in a hospital.
It's not.
It's definitely home birth as well.
Absolutely. Any type of birth. Yeah. Already if you have a planned C-section, like I said, there's so many different parts to birth, so many different supports that we offer that really you're bound to get some sort of support and some sort of, optimizing from our, benefits from our
It's going to
supports.
vary, of course, all over the country, different countries. What is somebody going to, somebody goes, there's no way I could do that. It actually, I think it's more affordable than one would think when you look at what you're getting out of it. What is a scale or a range or...
Yeah, so there is a big range because there's some people that just want that pregnancy support. They just want someone to help with the resources, with the information, with unexpected problems that come up, and they don't want you to be there during the birth. That's a sacred event to them, or they already have the support.
That's an option.
Yes, so that's an option as well. I think that's more around the 500 range. And then if you're looking for that birth support for us to be on call for basically 4 weeks, and then you have 18 hours of face-to-face time, and that's more of like that $1,000 range.
But still, for a moment like that in time,
you're going to get so much satisfaction. I mean, the rates and the percentages of people having less medication and a better overall birth, less interventions, and a less likely chance of postpartum depression and anxiety.
Less divorce. No.
Yeah, exactly. From having a doula, I think definitely. It's one of the biggest moments of your life. Why not enjoy it? Why not, help facilitate it off to a great start? Especially if you have plans to do breastfeeding or need help with that aftercare, we're then there to help. So then we also do offer the postnatal appointment, which is like 1 to 2 weeks after delivery. We come to your home, we check in on you and baby. We're able to give you information or resources if you need help with breastfeeding, if you need a chiropractor, if you need, help with meal planning, whatever it is. Yeah. Then we can offer our postpartum.
They'll do like a cleaning package, and they'll come and they'll.
Yep, that's the whole postpartum.
If I had a home birth, I'd be like, clean this up, because
Yeah, that's huge. So yeah, that's included with the birth support, and then we have those postpartum packages where you can buy a certain number of hours for us to come in during the week to help with the siblings, to help with your home, the sleeping, letting you eat, and there's so many different types.
But I mean, $500 to $1,000 is not. You're not talking major, and people that is a misconception that I hear, is that it's crazy. There's no, why would my husband's there? Why
there
would
is such a range,
so,
depending on
the range.
Yes, from the around
a couple hundred
the
to
country.
A couple thousand.
Exactly.
Obviously, it's going to be more possibly if you're in a rural area or you're in a big high city. I'm guessing in New York they probably pay more than.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
and you're able to interview, find the doula for you. Not everyone is fitted to a certain person.
I've heard of moms that meet with 3-4 of them. They interview them, and then they pick one out. It's not like I met with this woman, I'm not really quite sure. It's I met with one, and away we go.
Absolutely. We just want to be there to.
Do we have any questions that I should address that need to be addressed that we can address afterwards, Nance?
No, I think you answered most of them.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah. If anyone is looking for, resources, I am a doula with Green Bay Doulas. I know we offer a lot of different, that postpartum care, placenta encapsulation, that's another big one that's that we offer. The support, labor support, birth support, childbirth classes. There's so many different supports, but really, just use Google. There's many different types of services and providers, or I shouldn't say providers, but doulas in the area. Then get a chance to meet with all of them, do consults, and find out who's going to be best for you, because that's really what we want as doulas. I'm not trying to help everyone I can. I want to help you specifically if I'm the right fit for you. And Green Bay Doulas has 9 other doulas that are fantastic. And
so what does a certification, the question from Rachel, 2 Rachels, different Rachels. What does a certification, when you say you're a certified doula, what does that entail? What does that mean if somebody's looking to hire somebody or looking to be a doula? What does that mean?
So there's no regulations. Like typically when you're looking at medical support, medical professionals, there's regulations state by state across the United States. With a doula, there's no regulations. So there is multiple different programs that you can be certified through, and you can do all of them, you can do one of them. I am becoming certified through the Madrila Doula Network. There is another big one is Doula. Okay. And I mean, there's all kinds of different, doulas international something. I don't know all the names, but there is a lot of different types that you can become certified through, and it just goes through that, some of those most common things, like the different types of support, the anatomy and physiology of the body, the medical terms. Just, I think it's all kind of that basic information, but they're all a little bit different.
So you use words like stretching versus
Yep. So you learn all about the different, the body and the soft pelvis, the I've done lots of research and reading, recommended books. But yeah, so you don't have to say that you're certified to be a doula, because as long as you are experienced with, some of the different aspects of being a doula, you can say you're a doula as long as you have more experience than someone else. Like your mom, she wasn't certified, but she was a doula. She was a support to you.
And she did more than I expected. She started reading books. I just said, Mom, will you act as a doula in the room, not as a, oh, so cute, as grandma. And she read all these books, and she learned all about essential oils that I would want to use and different things. And she was juicing beforehand, and I was like, this is really cool. That's the first time that I really heard about doulas, and then took it further, and then of course being in the environment.
And she was your doula, and no one could take that experience away. Once you become certified, there's, like I said, there's different requirements and regulations for every program. Usually you have to attend a certain number of births before you get the actual paper certification. But having that experience and being able to offer, most resources to people, I think gives you the qualifications to help them.
Go on afterwards and answer on
absolutely.
Facebook if we have any.
Feel free. Anyone that wants to message me, private message me if you have any more questions. I'd be happy to share some of my knowledge and support you.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on today,
Thanks
Erin.
so much for having me. I think
was
this
fun.
is super important.
We were going to do it beginning of January, and then we were kind of behind a little bit from a few shows. So I'm sure we'll have you on again to talk about some postpartum births. But that's all I have today. So we'll be back next Monday, New Mom Monday at 2 o'clock. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook, is where we go live. You can look at all the past shows that we've talked about.
Lots of
different things. If you say, oh, we talked about this on a show, I'd say YouTube is your best bet for that. And podcasts, that's right. We're in podcasts now. So if you want to listen, it's perfect for this show because there's not a lot of visuals for this. So thanks for being here with us today, guys. We will see you next week. And thank you, Erin, for being on the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I really appreciate all that you and Nancy are doing, providing the information and alternatives to people. I think it's super important and super exciting. So thank you for all you do. I enjoy the shows as well. I feel like I'm a seasoned mom.
You'll have
I know
a good
a lot, but
library to send all your
doula
patients to.
absolutely.
Oh, you want to know about teething? Here, let me give you this link.
Absolutely. Lots of good information. So
shameless plug.
Thank you so much. No, I think it's great. I think support, resources, that's, all that I can really offer. So I really appreciate what you guys are doing. Nancy too. She's in the back there.
Thank you, Erin. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye.